Last night, over at the Timcast IRL podcast, we discussed how Joe Biden wants to build the wall. No joke. Donald Trump campaigned on building a wall. Joe Biden campaigned on ending the wall. And now that the border and migrant crisis has reached a massive 20-year high, Joe Biden is now saying, okay, well, maybe we got to build a wall because walls work. I mean, they kept saying walls don't work. Walls don't stop this. And now what do we see? We see a migrant crisis unlike anything we've seen in 20 years. Joe Biden has been forced to admit his failure, and now he is considering restarting construction on the border wall. But you know what's absolutely insane about all of this is how the media has now flip-flopped. What is wrong with these people? They hated Donald Trump so much? No, maybe not. Maybe they actually didn't care all that much about Donald Trump. Maybe the real issue was that yelling about Trump was a quick path to cash. Because now we got stories like this. From the New York Times, Brett Stevens, Biden should finish the wall. What? The New York Times is now pro-wall? Oh, wow, I'm impressed. How about this one from the Austin American-Statesman, a USA Today network website? Why Biden should build... Oh, okay, they're just republishing the same thing. All right, the New York Times is basically saying we should have the wall. Wow, that's an amazing flip-flop in my opinion, but I'll tell you why. I mentioned the border crisis. Let's talk about how serious the border crisis is actually getting. From the New York Post. Rep. McCarthy requests briefing on terror suspects caught crossing the border. That's right. Apparently a couple of guys who were on the most wanted list were caught. They've deleted the information because it's national security reasons, but yeah. You know, we heard quite a bit from people like Trump. From Trump specifically, that when these caravans were coming in, you know, terrorists were trying to sneak in with them. And everybody kept saying that wasn't true. Here's the problem. If they do come in with the caravans or they do come across the southern border, it's top secret. It's confidential. They're not going to tell you they found these people, so you're not going to see it in the news. And then they say, see, Trump is wrong. Well, here you go, baby. Here's the news. New York Post. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy has requested a classified briefing from the FBI and CIA on the arrest of two Yemeni nationals on the terror watch list who illegally crossed the border amid the record migrant surge. McCarthy made the request in a letter to CIA Director William Burns and FBI Director Christopher Wray, sent on Tuesday evening, asking that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, and Vice President Harris also be permitted at the briefing. I hope Harris, along with congressional leaders, could benefit from this briefing, the California lawmaker said, noting the vice president was tasked by Biden with addressing the diplomatic measures related to the crisis. The top-ranking House Republican went on to share some of the intel provided to him by Customs and Border Protection agents during his visit to the region last month, noting that agents conveyed to us that they have apprehended individuals from not only Mexico and Central America, but also countries including China, Iran, Yemen, and Turkey. Wow. He says, while I am grateful to the Border Patrol for doing all they can, I have great concern about the number of bad actors that have escaped arrest and are residing in the U.S., he warned. We simply have no way of knowing if other terrorists have crossed the border undetected. Federal authorities revealed on Monday that two Yemeni men on the FBI's terror watch list had been arrested in recent months for illegally entering the U.S. from Mexico. The men, ages 33 and 26, were busted near the Calexico port of entry in California in separate incidents on January 29th and March 30th, CBP said. So these guys weren't together. This is two different instances where people who are on a terror watch list were apprehended in the span of only about a month and a half. Now that's creepy. The older man was found with a mobile phone SIM card under his insole of his shoe, the agency also said. Records checks conducted after both men were caught revealed they were on a government watch list for terrorism suspects and a no-fly list. See, they say CBD, they mean CBP, did not release the identities of either of the men. In a since-deleted release about the men, CBP said the 33-year-old man had been transferred to an ICE facility, which handles deporting people back to their home countries. The 26-year-old man, meanwhile, was being held in federal custody pending removal. The terror watch list includes people who are known to be or reasonably suspected of being involved in terrorist activities, according to the FBI. U.S. Customs and Border Protection officials removed a press release from their website that announced the arrest of the two men. Officials deleted the release because it was not properly reviewed and contained certain disclosure and policy information related to national security. CBP spokesman Justin Long told the Post Tuesday. The press release, which is archived online on the Wayback Machine, was originally published Monday, but is no longer accessible on CBP's website. When its link is clicked, readers are sent to a page that says access denied, and you are not authorized to access this page. It's not clear when the release was removed. The Biden administration's undoing of Trump's border policies has prompted a flood of Central American and Mexican illegal immigrants at the U.S. border, including thousands of unescorted children. Now, I want to point something out. I have friends who are not American, friends all over the world. Many of them want to come to America. And there's always this joke, and it's creepy, about how if only they were criminals. That's right. See, law-abiding citizens in their home country, people from their home countries, they obey the law. When they want to come to the U.S., they do it the legal way, and it's very difficult. And it's just sad to me that I have friends who want to come to this country who can't because, well, it takes paperwork, it takes time, you got to wait in line, it's not so easy. They can eventually find a way to get here. There's visas, but it actually is very hard from people from certain countries. And they jokingly say, if only we were like the criminals, the people who break the law, who just show up, get let in, and you're free to go. That's incredible. And what does it say to good, honest citizens who want to come here when they know that? That pisses me off. It pisses me off that I'm talking to my friend like we got to find a way, how to get your visa processed. What are the tourism requirements so you can come and visit the United States? Because I've traveled all over the world for when I worked for Vice, when I worked for Fusion, and I met a lot of people, a lot of good people. I remember one time I was interviewing this refugee, a Syrian refugee, and he said that sometimes, he just looks up and sees these planes and thinks to himself how crazy it is that just because of this little piece of paper, he can't be on that plane coming to America. This is a guy who loved watching South Park and Family Guy, and he spoke English from watching these shows, and he had to flee Syria because of the war. He went to Turkey, and he just thought about how crazy it was that, there's that plane. All those people are on it, and they can just easily go there. Now, what if this dude decided to be a criminal? He wasn't. That's the problem. What Joe Biden has done with his policies has basically said to all of the law-abiding citizens who don't break the law, who don't go to Mexico and try and cross the border, he's basically said special treatment for criminals and not for law-abiding citizens. That's messed up, isn't it? Because then what do you think's going to happen? It's the same thing with gun restrictions. They're like, oh, we got to get rid of all these guns. Dude, the legal gun owners aren't doing anything. They're like minding their own business. And there's a whole lot of them. If there was really a problem with guns, you'd know it by now. But the reality is the problem is with crazy people. Now, I can respect those who are like, we don't want crazy people to have weapons. I get that. You can't take it away from the law-abiding citizens because all that does, it literally changes nothing. So here we go. Refugees, migrants, tourists, people in other countries are being told outright, you're a good, honest, hardworking person. You can't come. Now, the criminals, the criminal immigrants, smugglers and traffickers, oh, they're allowed. Yeah, they get marched right in. It's man, is it messed up? I tell you this. Central Americans looking for refuge from northern northern triangle countries, El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala, have taken these policy moves, as well as the overwhelmingly more welcoming tone from Democrats, as a sign that this president is inviting them to cross the border. At least that was according to a couple reports from ABC and NBC. Insisting that the border was not facing a crisis, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas said in early March the problems the agency faced should be blamed on the previous administration. Oh, you know what? Spare me, dude. Donald Trump, he approached that border with an iron fist. Big, beautiful wall, 30 feet high, concrete from sea to shining sea. Yeah, no, that's ridiculous and insane. Instead, we got select bollard fencing. And it still works. Donald Trump went over the top. He was talking about a giant concrete wall, which it doesn't really make sense, but it's intimidating. It's the idea. It's that Trump was slamming his fist on the table saying enough. And we had the migrant protection protocols keeping people in Mexico. Joe Biden changes this. Everything goes crazy. They said the data overwhelmingly shows that migrants were flooding the border because they believed Biden would welcome them with open arms. Late last month, Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador blamed the new president for the crisis, arguing that the expectations he set left migrants with the perception they would be let into the U.S. My friends, they are being let into the U.S. Surprise, surprise. Joe Biden now wants to build that wall. Well, I'll tell you this. Maybe, I guess, at least some Trump supporters will be satisfied with this because this is a major win for Trump supporters. Here's what I'd like y'all to do. If you find yourself as a Trump supporter who was chanting to yourself, to your friends, to your country, build that wall, and the left mocked you for it, well, now you get to show them this. Now, when you go and talk to your liberal friends or family, when you're at a family dinner and they're like, listen, Donald Trump was bad, you can go, well, Joe Biden's building the wall. Joe Biden reopened the child detention centers. Donald Trump closed them. Bring it. What are they going to say? What are they going to say? You're going to be sitting down and you're going to have like, your liberal aunt or whatever. And she's going to be like, well, Donald Trump was doing those concentration camps. Actually, he shut them down. Joe Biden opened them. Well, the wall was right. Well, Joe Biden wants to rebuild the wall. He wants to restart the wall. Here, let me pull it up for you from the Independent, a left-wing publication. It's that simple, isn't it? Here's what they say. Construction of Trump's border wall may continue under Biden, administration admits. Construction on Donald Trump's border wall may continue under Joe Biden's administration. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas told department employees that he may be greenlighting work on the wall to plug gaps in the current wall. Wait, you mean to tell me that he wants to make Trump's wall bigger? The wall just got 20 feet longer. So Trump secured select areas. There's still gaps. He didn't build a massive wall from sea to shining sea, but he did secure certain areas. There are still gaps. Donald Trump is not president anymore. This means Trump's administration is out. Trump's plans and policies have been set aside or canceled outright or frozen. Joe Biden is now picking up the project and saying, come on, man, we're going to make Donald Trump's wall bigger. It's got to be bigger. There's no migrant crisis. Yeah, there you go. The Washington Times reported that it reviewed notes from a recent discussion between Mayorkas and employees of ICE. It's not a single answer to a single question. There are different projects that the chief of the Border Patrol has presented, and the acting commissioner of CBP presented to me, Mr. Mayorkas reportedly said. The president has communicated quite clearly his decision that the emergency that triggered the devotion of DOD funds to the construction of the border wall is ended, but that leaves room to make decisions as part of the administration, in particular areas of the wall that need renovation. Particular projects that need to be finished. Those plans include filling gaps, installing gates, and adding technology to parts of the wall that have been finished but have not been outfitted. Whoa. Hold on a minute. Adding technology to the wall? Donald Trump just said build a wall. That's it. Is Joe Biden upping the ante and making the wall even more secure? Hey, look, man, I'll take the win. Joe Biden reopens these child migrant detention centers. I don't like them. I don't like the idea that these kids are being separated from their families or they're in these horrible conditions. But what you need to realize is the alternative is worse. There's this really scary video, man. I don't know if you guys seen it. It's horrifying. 9-year-old kid wandering the desert. CBP pulls up and they film this. Bless the hearts of these CBP agents, man. These people are heroes. They find this 9-year-old kid crying. See, these smugglers, these traffickers use these kids as props so they can cross the border and say, I'm just with my child. And then once they're off, they're like, later, kid. And this kid's walking around crying because what they do is they cross the border and later, kid, or they bring the kid back and keep bouncing them back and forth so that if someone gets caught, they can be like, oh, well, I'm with my kid. I'm a refugee, they say. No, these are criminals. They're refugees. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, I want to help them. But this CBP crew, I believe it was CBP, they pull up. This kid walks up to him crying, begging for help, wandering the desert. How about this? How about you abolish ICE? How about you abolish DHS? All those things the left wanted to do. No CBP, no Customs and Border Protection. Because they talked about that too. And then leave this 9-year-old kid to wander the desert and die. These people on the left don't understand. I suppose it's true of a lot of people. They don't understand how to plan ahead. It's like, dude, please learn how to play chess. You know what I mean? If I move my pawn here, what will they do? Oh, they took it and I got nothing for it. Don't make moves that do that. You move your knight. You want to make sure that your knight is secured and backed up by other pieces. So if they take your piece, you take it back. You plan ahead. You strategize. So the left comes out and they say, we're seeing awful things in these facilities. So what do they propose? I get it. Get rid of the facility. It's like, dude, did you stop to think about what happens if those facilities go away? Well, Donald Trump shut them down. Why? Because he's a populist. And when the people were like, we demand an end to these facilities, he said, you got it. Then what? Okay, well, now we got to keep the people in Mexico. Joe Biden doesn't think ahead. Joe Biden says, come on, man, come on in, open up the gates, no deportations. Then they flood through. It's a surge not seen in 15 or 20 years. And then Joe Biden's like, oops, I guess we'll have to reopen these facilities. Then he starts putting kids under bridges in McAllen, Texas. Now he's going, we probably got to rebuild that wall. It's insane to me that they don't stop to think about the ramifications of their actions. And this is what happens. Children suffer because of it. The story I tell is it's basically something I refer to as the Chinese finger trap problem, where sometimes the solutions are counterintuitive. And this is not necessarily the case, but I have to talk about, in my experience, seeing like a cop, for instance, at a protest. Someone will be in the street and he'll be like, I gotta, get this person out of the street. I know if I arrest him, he won't be in the street anymore. That's true. If you arrest him, he won't be in the street. The next day, 10 to 100 new protesters show up screaming about police brutality. Why was he arrested? He was protesting his free speech, blah, blah, blah. This is what happens here. They say, you've got kids in detention centers? Shut down the detention centers. Congratulations. Then you don't have kids in detention centers, but then you have kids wandering the desert, dehydrated, sick, and dying. There's no simple answer to this other than, there's no simple answer to this, but Joe Biden should absolutely be slamming his fist on the table saying, remain in Mexico, build the wall. Because now it's worse than it's been in a long time. And all Joe Biden has done so far is made everything worse and then backtracked. Why were these past 2.5, nearly 3 months, why is it that we gave Biden the leeway in any capacity to screw this up so bad? He screwed it up so bad, he's reversing course and bringing back Trump policy. Yeah, well, all of these people on the left who voted for Joe Biden because Trump said nasty things, they're not going to care. They're not going to pay attention. But I tell you this, take these stories, show them to them and say, back this up. Why is Joe Biden now saying we got to have a wall? Why is Joe Biden saying his administration, mind you, that we want to restart construction in key areas? In fact, up the security on them with new technology as well. That's above and beyond what Trump was doing. What happened? Was Trump right? Did you vote for the guy? Or at the very least, is Trump wrong? And now you voted for a guy who's doing the exact same thing. Amazing, isn't it? I love this from the New York Times. We should finish the wall or the next Trump will. Okay, what? If you think the wall is bad, then don't build it. And if another Trump comes around and builds it, okay, well, what? I love it. The New York Times, Brett Stevens writes, the most harrowing story I've read in the Times in recent days was Miriam Jordan's account of a car crash last month in Southern California involving a Ford Expedition that had come from Mexico, straight through a breach in the border wall. The Ford was crammed with 25 people when it hit a tractor-trailer rig on Route 115, 110 miles east of San Diego. Few of the survivors have been able to describe what happened next. The crunch of metal and glass, the bodies flung dozens of feet across the pavement. 12 people died on the spot, a 13th at a nearby hospital. Jordan follows the stories of the victims and survivors, and there's a heartbreaking sameness to them. People who have been driven by fear or want from their homes in Mexico and Central America, and who are willing to take grave risks and pay exorbitant sums to make it to the United States. These are not terrorists, gang members, lowlifes, benefit seekers, except in their willingness to violate U.S. immigration laws. Lawbreakers. They're literally lawbreakers. Don't play those games, dude. They are seeking the American dream. I respect that. Worthy of our compassion and respect. Absolutely, 100%. I'm sick of these woke leftists just being like, America's the worst and it's a slaveocracy in 1619 and we hate this country. I'm like, dude, tell that to the people who just illegally drove through the country and driving through desert, risking their lives. Or tell to the people who got, tell to these kids, man, nah, they want to come here because America's awesome. But, they're lawbreakers. Literally, they're criminals. I think it's funny. I remember there's an argument. You can't say illegal immigrant because people aren't illegal. And I'm like, yeah, if you're using the word illegal to describe the person, I agree with that. A person isn't illegal. People exist. It's like a weird semantic argument. Sure. And then I think the AP started saying unauthorized immigrant. Unauthorized immigrant. Okay, that one works. They were trying to be neutral. They didn't want to say illegal immigrant. They didn't want to say immigrant. They needed something different. The left likes to say all immigrants are the same. That's not true. And the right differentiates between legal immigrants and illegal immigrants. And I was talking to a friend and I was like, I think the main difference is that there's immigrants and criminal immigrants. Like they commit crimes. So this was my assessment. If you're saying a person can't be illegal, okay, I agree. But a person can be a criminal. So you have legal immigrants and criminal immigrants. Criminal immigrants are people who knowingly violate the law. There are people who smuggle children. There are people who bring in drugs. Not all of them do that. Some people do just want a better life, and I respect their vision of the American dream. But criminal's criminal. Now, does that necessarily mean, we should just leave laws in there? Law does not equal morality. But if you break the law, you're a criminal. I mean, that's like, I don't know how to say it, right? So you have people who are willfully breaking the law. Right. Those people aren't illegal. They're criminals. All right. He says, well, they're only lawbreakers and violating U.S. immigration law. Okay, well, they're lawbreakers. What do you want me to do? There's a reason why we have these laws. As I mentioned earlier in the segment, I have friends who want to come here who don't break the laws. And so you have to think about someone who's willing to break the law versus someone who isn't. And who would you rather have coming and working in your country? The person who is unwilling to break the law or the person who is? I'm sorry, man. Very simply put, there are a lot of people who are desperate. And I don't want to blanket every single one of them. But if you have people who are absolutely willing to break the law, you have criminal immigrants and then you have legal immigrants. And if I had to choose between who we were going to allow to reap the benefits of the American dream and who we were seeking to protect, it would be the law-abiding immigrants who want to come here and help out and live a good life. Now, I think everybody deserves a chance. Everybody deserves a second chance. And everybody, I understand why they want to come here. But if you're somebody who has a propensity for law breaking or disrespect for our system of laws, I'm not entirely sure these are the people that would flourish in this country if they're willing to do that. That's why we have legal immigration, to make sure that people come here, that they can find work, they can function properly in society, and not wander through the desert and suffer or die or just be a net negative. We want everyone to be a net positive. If people come here and they don't know where they're going, they don't know what they're doing, well, they might drive through a barrier and then get slammed into by a Mack truck or something, and then a bunch of people die. We're trying to avoid that. I can't believe this video of this kid, man. I can't. It's horrifying. He's a 9-year-old kid. Show that to people and say, you want to get rid of CBP? The truth is most people don't. But the Democrats have they've been ensnared by this radicalism from social media. You think about the fact that if you poll the average person, they'll tell you voter ID is legitimate. I think there was one poll saying like 73% of black voters in Georgia agree with voter ID, something like that. I don't know. I don't have it pulled up. But a majority. Then you turn on the TV and they're like, nope, no one wants voter ID. And it's like, but everybody kind of wants it. The Democrats are pandering to extremists. And that's why you get policies like this. And then it's funny to see New York Times even come out and be like, build that wall. All right. Well, I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.